It was another upset Saturday in college football. Mark Rogers TV going to another one at Duke, where the Blue Devils upset by Wake Forest 24-14. We bring in Robert Reinhard from Blogger So Dear to help us sort this one out. So, Robert, we just talked about it a few minutes ago. This has to be one of the bigger wins for the Demon Deacons in quite some time.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, always big to beat an in-state rival, and for a while we had beaten Duke 12 straight years, but we've lost to them the last 4 years. So trying to get back on that winning train, since that's really a good comparable program for us, being an in-state opponent and similar academic institution. But yeah, I think it's our biggest win probably since 2012 against North Carolina. We beat them 28-27. Now, we didn't end up making a bowl game that year, so you could argue it maybe wasn't as big of a win, but at the time I thought that was a huge win for us for similar reasons. So, hopefully this is something we can build on. This was a game, as you said, it was an upset, so we sort of stole one a little bit, and hopefully that can just get us closer to bowl eligibility and give us more confidence as something we can build on moving forward.
And as we talked about, Robert, the day before the game, this is a Duke program that's a different Duke program than what it's been in the past. David Cutcliffe has built a fringe top 25 type program. So this is pretty substantial here. You wrote an article following the game concerning the quarterbacking of Kendall Hinton. I'd like for you to make your plea in regards to the quarterback battle and the roles of the two quarterbacks, Wolford and Hinton, and how you think this should play out the rest of the year.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think Hinton should be the starting quarterback. I think we've finally gotten to the point where one of the quarterbacks has separated themselves from the other one a little bit. Hinton didn't have as much of an opportunity last year, just mostly because Wolford had that much more experience in the offense. But Hinton, I mean, to me, he was responsible for our only touchdown last week against Tulane, and then Wolford was just 3 of 5 against Duke for 17 yards, got sacked 3 times. Hinton, when he's in the game, there are just so many more possibilities. I think he's a better thrower of the deep ball, and I think he's really closed the gap on some of those short to intermediate routes. And honestly, he can just generate so many additional and free first downs for us with his ability to gain several yards on a broken play, even if that's just on first down, helping keep us on schedule, or on third down, helping ultimately convert those first downs. So I think Hinton, if you're going to start a quarterback, in any 2 quarterback system, typically the starter is the more prototypical passing quarterback, and the backup quarterback is more of a dual threat, more of an athlete. So from that standpoint, if you start Wolford, it makes sense to bring in Hinton. But if you're going to start the athlete, and Hinton is more than just an athlete, he's a legitimately good passer. He was a highly regarded quarterback coming out of high school, and he was recruited as a quarterback. Then it doesn't make any sense to bring in Wolford in relief duty. So I think, I think this is Hinton's job probably moving forward. Obviously, a lot could change, but I think Hinton brings too much upside and dynamic ability for our offense to keep him on the bench.
Robert, it's such a week-to-week performance. We were highlighting the rushing performance against Tulane, against a defense that you should be able to push around, and how difficult it was to run the ball. And then all of a sudden we get against a Duke defense that's been very formidable in recent years. Cade Carney runs for almost, 6.5 yards per carry, over 100 yards. Matt Coburn, 6.8 per carry. You were able to effectively run the football outside of what Hinton was able to do with the running backs in the traditional running game.
Yeah, that was shocking. 239 total rushing yards. I can't remember the last time we came to a total that high, and it was really impressive. We were able to, and they saw it coming. It wasn't any gimmicky thing. We lined up, and I thought our offensive line did a really good job. I thought our offensive line and our defensive line helped win this game for us. I thought we definitely won the battle in the trenches. But yeah, I thought Carney and Colburn both did a really good job in reading what the line was giving to them and showing some patience, and then breaking to the outside or breaking to a certain hole when need be. And on Carney's 55-yard touchdown run, that's certainly going to boost the average a little bit. But he was consistently getting 4 or 5 yards on different carries, and on that particular play on the 55-yard touchdown run, it was third and short, and Duke had 10 men in the box, and we lined up against them. We got great leverage, and we had a great pull from left guard Ty Hayworth, and Carney hit the hole, and he was just gone. So yeah, definitely encouraging. If we've committed to running the ball the last several years. We haven't done a particularly good job of it, but we've committed to attempt to run. So this is an encouraging sign moving forward, I would say.
Yeah, Duke hit a couple big pass plays against your defense that set up short touchdowns. But besides that, we talked about Jayla Duncan being one of the better backs in the ACC, and he only got it 9 times for 25 yards, so he was limited. And because of the deficit in the second half, they go to the passing game. And I don't think Duke typically, especially with a freshman quarterback, wants to throw it 48 times, but it became that kind of a situation for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, I thought that the defense was spectacular. I mean, last week only allowed 3 points against Tulane. So you say, okay, that's Tulane. Let's see what happens. But, I thought they did a really good job. Duke Ejiofor was a monster. I would expect him to be ACC Defensive Player of the Week. 7 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumble, a fumble recovery, 3 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries. I mean, that is monstrous. I mean, he had a forced sack and fumble recovery to start off the second half that got us the ball at the 14-yard line that allowed us to score. But yeah, I mean, I thought our defensive line, our front 7, did a really good job getting their quarterback uncomfortable, making Daniel Jones uncomfortable. And yeah, the secondary had some lapses, I would say. We gave up some big plays. Deontay Austin gave up a big play, and then Brad Watson had a bad pass interference call against him. He didn't turn to look for the ball. That set up Duke getting the ball on the 1-yard line, and they scored. But yeah, definitely encouraging from our front 7, and hopefully our secondary can continue to improve as the season goes along.
My goodness, that's seriously filling up the box score when you read off those defensive numbers. Man, he was all over the place. A terror. So when we looked at the schedule before the season started, Robert, being realistic, this was kind of the one give me loss. Obviously, Wake Forest goes down there and pulls out the victory. So now it's Delaware out of conference play in Indiana. That's a winnable game, although it's going to be tough. You figure that's about a 50-50 shot. And then even back into conference play, still you can't count them either way because they're toss-ups. North Carolina State's probably going to be a decided favorite, but still that's a winnable game. And then Syracuse. So Wake can get some wins under its belt in hopes of getting toward that magical 6 number.
Yeah. This was a big win for us. I mean, forget about the in-state rivalry stuff. I mean, this was an upset, and it was a game that we had a legitimate chance to win, but we certainly weren't favored in. So to be 2-0 in this spot, obviously you can't do any better. And then projecting forward, we have Delaware. That should be 3. Army, they've actually played pretty well this year. We'll see what happens, but that should be a win. So that's 4. And then, as you said, winnable road games against State and Indiana. I thought going into the year, we probably were going to have to win one of Duke, Indiana, and NC State in order to make a bowl, because you can't assume beating Syracuse, Virginia, and Boston College all at home. I mean, it's possible, but you don't want to assume that. So that gives us more room for error on the back end. So, one thing Clawson said to his team after the game was, be greedy. So I think, that's what we have to do. Looking at that Indiana game, go and try and win. And it'll be tough. They have 2 weeks to prepare for us, but again, very winnable game. So this was a huge win for bowl eligibility. Just have to win 4 of the remaining 10 games, though. With games at FSU and at Louisville and Clemson at home, those are going to be almost sure losses, especially with how Lamar Jackson has been playing. But we'll see. I won't predict a Clemson upset. They've looked somewhat shaky the first 2 games, but really big to give us a little bit of breathing room as the season goes along.
So after just 3 wins overall in 2015 and just 1-7 in the ACC, Wake Forest off to a 2-0 start, including the all-important win on the road at Duke. Very impressive. All right, Robert Reinhardt from Blogger So Dear helping us out on the Wake Forest start and the upset of Duke. Thanks a lot, Robert.
Hey, thank you as always.